This has been Crypto Core Radio. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Tell your friends so they can be among the first to learn about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency advancement in the new digital economy.
All right, guys. So welcome to Crypto Core Radio. This is your host, Lutz. You'll see I do many different types of shows. This is one of the meetup shows that we do with specific projects that we like. And, you've heard me talk about Raptorium. It is going to be, hopefully, easy enough for you to mine at home with your regular equipment. No ASICs needed. It's got a whole tokenization platform going on for it. It has some of the best devs I've seen in a while. I've seen a lot of devs. So, I have a lot of good feelings about it, and that's why I'm on board. We don't accept anything that looks like a scam. If I'm talking about it, if we're doing a show about it, it's because 5 executives made the decision that it wasn't a scam. So it's no longer just me involved. It's no longer just House or anybody making decisions. In Crypto Core Media, we make decisions as a team. And this is how we bring people on board. If unfortunately, a lot of projects, they get a bad reputation. And unfortunately, a lot of them are scams just from the get-go. And it's really hard to discern these days what is and what is not. So now we have 5 heads thinking instead of 1. So hopefully that increases our chances. But that aside, this is a project. I see people working on it. I see developers solving problems with the algorithm. So it's being worked on, which means it's not a scam. So if, at least at this point in time, right? Nobody ever knows what's happening, but we got big players in it also. So that also tells me it's not a scam. We have a more unique type of algorithm coming out for it, which was made by the developers on the team. Once again, that tells me it's not a scam. So there's a lot of unique factors of Raptorium that you have to wrap your head around. But once you do, you'll understand it. So today I'd like to talk a little more about how you could get involved. And you're going to get involved with mining. Now, I know it sounds like something crazy. I can't do that. You need crazy computers, right? No, it's not that hard. If you have a computer, you can mine. We have Big Piggy on. Big Piggy, thank you for joining us once again.
Thanks for having me.
He's one of the head guys at Raptorium. And I wanted to get your idea. What is the lowest CPU? Like, what's the lowest piece of hardware somebody could mine with? A 2-core Pentium? Like, what is the minimum requirements to mine?
You could mine with a 2-core Pentium, but that would be slow. Something like an ICE actually make money on this.
Okay.
A newer upwards, and I'd say you're pretty good to go.
Say that one more time. You cut out.
A newer i3 and upwards, and I would say go. There are some of the new cheap AMD CPUs that ought to do very, comparatively speaking, if you're looking at a dollar value versus hash output, they will probably do better than the Intel CPUs at the moment, unless Intel have something brand new up their sleeve that's coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Right, yeah, I know. Yeah, so is the i9 that they made, the 16 cores. I mean, I'm sure I'd like to see that go head to head with one of the, the what do they call it? The thread rippers, the 16-core thread ripper versus an i9 16-core. I like to see the difference.
the i9s do better on just about everything. No, sorry. What am I saying? The Threadrippers
Threadripper,
will do better on just about everything. Yeah, they have a
except for
more, they
except
call
for
it
heat.
balanced instruction set.
Mm,
When you're talking about CPU mining, you've got all these different instruction sets on each CPU, and the Zen instruction set that many of the new AMD CPUs run on is just a lot more efficient, really.
nice, nice. They came back. They lost the title for a little while, but now they're back.
Yeah, but I mean, they were out for quite a few years, really.
Long time. But AMD was always my favorite, even though it heated up. I mean, you couldn't even turn it on without a heatsink for of half a second without it burning. Now at least you got a half a second. If you forget to put the heatsink on.
Yeah, true.
So basically what I'm getting at though is that if you own a laptop, uh, you simply have to download the software, right? And mine it. Now, can they mine it through the wallet itself? Because I believe there is a method to do that, correct?
At the moment, that's possible. I doubt if that will be viable for very long once we hit mainnet, but it may be.
Okay. Yeah. So, and that's usually solo mining, right? It's considered solo mining when you do it through the wallet.
Yeah, that is full up solo mining. I mean, solo mining is also if you've got GPU miners that will work with the Getwork protocol. There are two kinds of, well, three if we include direct CPU mining, but mainly there are two kinds of mining. One is based on something called Getwork, and the other is based on something called Stratum protocol. Stratum protocols are what you typically see from most mining pools.
Yes, it is.
And Getwork is more if you point your own GPUs directly at your own Ethereum wallet, or some of the slightly smarter, more modern pools. For example, mining pool like co-mining for Ethash coins, they do a lot of incredibly interesting stuff where basically you just need one wallet and you can mine 30 odd coins at the same time.
Oh wow.
You're only getting paid in one coin, but you can just, once you're logged into the interface, just 2 clicks and you've changed what you're mining.
Right. Right. Yep. And that seems to be a great way to go for newbies. If you if you're not sure what to mine, try mining everything. See which one you like the most. That's how you get involved with the coins. Also, once you start mining a coin and you start getting some, you start developing interest because now you got some skin in the game, right? You got some coin.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And you're using your hardware.
mhm. So of course, if you get electricity for free, that would be optimal. But it's always a risk. Mining is always a risk. You could do well, or you could still do well. You could wait longer and still do well. But a lot of people, unfortunately, they end up dumping low. Gives opportunities for other people to buy it, and that's how markets move, right?
Yeah, it's both that and a lot of people not sticking with never invest more than what you can afford to lose.
Right, right. So if you can't afford. Well, with the CPUs, it'll be cheap. It'll be cheaper than a hard GPU mining, that's for sure. But eventually, you'll be able to GPU mine Ghostwriter as well. Uh, but I, how far along are we with that? I think you were actually pretty close, right?
We should be pretty close. Yes, we've got several people working on GPU miners at the moment, and we've got an update coming out fairly soon on that. Since we've got a second algorithm running now on our own pool, which is going to be the finalized version, which we're launching with on mainnet.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's the way to do it. That's always got to test it first. You don't want a half-ass chain to come out and then have to renege on everybody's transactions and such, or do some type of fork, which is never seen lightly. So definitely the best.
Yeah,
they're doing a great job testing.
The main changes we're making is actually comes back to what I was talking about just a minute ago with instruction sets on CPUs. We are taking out a couple of components from the algorithm because with some of the newer CPU and similarly on GPU instruction sets that have become available, they will speed up some of the components too much.
Right. Okay.
What's unique about our algorithm is that we've got some components that go very fast and we've got some components that go very slow at the same time. Now, that doesn't mean they all average out. It means everything gets slowed down to basically the level of the slowest of the algorithms.
The crawl?
However, what that does with two sort of almost diametrically opposed components at the same time, it makes it very, very hard to design a pipeline that will fit everything in it.
Okay.
Pipelines are what FPGAs and ASICs basically run. They fit everything into one single logic channel, call it a pipeline. But when you've got something that's going very fast and very slow at the same time, getting that logic channel to work in a logical sense becomes incredibly difficult.
I see. And so how did you solve that problem? Is this a problem that all coins run into, or is this just something you ran into and you saw you needed a solution for it, and how did you find what was the solution?
Well, a lot of algorithms that are used out there at the moment are very easy to pipeline. Dash attempted to take it on when they made X11 back in the day, or back when they were called Darkcoin.
Right.
However, the components they all used were all very similar, meaning they're very light, they're very operationally heavy, they don't have any serious memory requirements for the mining hardware. What that did was it made it fairly easy for someone who knew what they were doing to sit down and put them all together in a chained logical sequence on an ASIC.
Okay, and then they made it, and then unfortunately, they're no longer ASIC proof now.
Yeah, they haven't been ASIC proof for years now.
Oh,
I can't remember when the first pin idea ones came out for Dash, but some time.
So is it safe to say that the fact that you have such a difficulty running the hash through the pipeline, does that make it difficult to create an ASIC, or
Yes,
to come into an existence? So.
yes, because you think of it like this: it's a highway,
Mm-hmm.
and the different components the whole algorithm is a highway.
Mhm.
And the different components are cars going at different speeds down the same highway. Now, once you've got enough different speeds, you're going to need an awful lot of lanes for things to not really crash into each other, just
Right.
from the speed difference.
Right. Okay.
And what that requirement for lanes equals is surface area on a chip. Surface area on a chip is what costs money combined with the interoperability if you decide to split it all out onto different chips.
I see. So, how about they're making the chips a lot smaller though these days? So, with the surface area
Yes,
getting smaller.
yeah. With the surface area becoming smaller, yes. But what that does is it also proportionally increases the cost of design. I mean, there is no such thing as 100% ASIC and FPGA resistant. It doesn't exist.
Right. I think that's
What you
the thing.
can do, what you can do is you can make it cost prohibitive to develop one, which is the route we've chosen to go.
Right. Right. Yeah, and that makes sense. It's just way too difficult to create, so it's going to be way too expensive, and it's probably not going to be worth it. And if it is worth it, and if they do pull it off,
Exactly.
it's probably not going to be, like an ASIC that gives you, 10 times the power of a GPU. It'll probably be maybe twice because it's so difficult. It'll probably be less.
We've got some additional components coming out over the course of the next year that we are adding to the algorithm that should essentially take it down to the same level as a decent GPU.
Okay. So and everyone out there who's don't be worried about the GPUs coming out. Just be happy the fact that they are coming out. There's been a few projects in the past where I've seen them secretly GPU mine it while everybody was CPU mining a coin, right? I mean, these are stand-up fellows telling you that there's one out.
We've had GPU miner developers and invited in to join the project now quite some time. I think about 6 months already.
Right. Nice. Yeah, and I know one of them.
And I mean,
I think I know one of them at least.
Yeah, but there are several quite good people.
Yeah, I saw Wolf in there. He's pretty badass. And I see you got I Am Legion, and you got a Try, and you got a lot of great people that I've met through the grapevine. It just so happens, they're working in Raptorium, so they must believe in it as well. And so let's get back to the mining though. So if I'm new, right? So let's get back to these new people that are listening. Sorry if we got very technical there for a minute, but maybe one day you will understand it. So when I want to mine something, what do I do? And this is, I'm just going to really quickly say what I'm thinking I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the website. I'm going to download a piece of software. I'm going to hit the executable, and that's it. I should be mining. Or no, there's some configurations that need to be done. So we download it from the website. We configure the batch file appropriately, which I hope there's going to be really good instructions, because that's what's usually missing with these mining programs. Apart from finding the right miner for a specific algorithm, depending on the coin, right? It could be X11, and you got to use a specific miner, is an X 14 or whatever they got. Every miner does a different algo, and there's some miners that'll do multiple algorithms. So do you guys have a proprietary miner on the website, or is it going to be like one of the?
No, nothing proprietary at all. I mean, we've got an open source miner that everybody is free to download and make improvements on. Currently, it's a fork of CPU miner OPT from JD on GitHub, and he is a very well-respected developer, and his miner can do just about anything on the CPU.
All right, I remember there's like lots of laughs miner, and there's so many miners. It'll make your head spin. But
Yeah.
as long
But I
as
mean, with mining software, the most important thing is that early on in a project, that it's mainly open source. Once you get some of the slightly larger miner developers interested and they start making closed source miners with developer fees in there, if it's from somebody reputable, yeah, by all means use it, because it's probably going to be a lot more efficient than what's available as open source. But make sure it's from somebody reputable. Make sure that you are downloading directly from however they release their website, their Discord, their GitHub, whatever it is. That's vitally important. Otherwise, you'll be putting junk on your computer that will steal all kinds of stuff from you.
Yeah, and there's also a checksum, I believe, right? That you could check. There's a checksum number.
Absolutely. There are ways of checking the files you've downloaded. Sometimes people SHA, which is the grandfather of the algorithm that they provide you with a number, and you take the files you've downloaded, hash them once with a simple little program, and you see if the result matches this number. If it doesn't, you don't have the real deal. And you can do the same thing we're using as old and relatively useless as MD5, but for example, for Node, MD5 still works just fine, despite it being useless for password protection nowadays.
You sound really up to date on these things. Also, there's another method using IPFS where if you upload it to IPFS, it gives you that unique hash, just like the checksum, and it's always going to be that hash. If I were to re-upload the same exact file, you'll get the same exact hash. That's just recently I learned that using IPFS. But that aside, security is a big thing. And is there any recommendations you can make? Should people be using VPN when mining the coin, since it's like a point of origination when blocks are created?
Yes and no. I mean, what I would really worry about is if I'm doing pooled mining, use TLS instead of SSH protocols. SSH mining has been in the past somebody sets up. Well, there are several different methods for doing it, but basically where somebody steals your connection to the and essentially uses that to steal the work you're providing at the time you're providing it.
Right.
But there is a newer protocol available from most decent called TLS, where that's not really possible. So if you're mining, I would look for TLS
So TLS is the way to go, you're saying? Is that an easy thing to implement,
Yeah.
or is it?
Yes, in most cases, it's just a question of changing to that file if you are working with the mining pool and you've got software that supports it.
Okay. Is there a way to have that, built in? Or actually, no, there is no way.
Of the more serious miners have it built in. And the first one to support it and who's been supporting it for a long time has been Claymore's Ethereum miner and his other mining software.
Yeah, Claymore is big. You use that with the ether enlargement pill, right?
Yeah. ETH mining, mining. Oh goodness, what else? NeoScript. He's put out quite a few miners over the last.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. His kryptonite miner is still on slightly older cards, the fastest by far.
Yeah. Well, some people are better at writing code than others, and it's so getting back to the mining, let's if I wanted to use a pool, do you guys have specific pool? So and the difference between a pool and direct people, if you're new to mining crypto, when you mine through the wallet, I said you're mining directly to the chain, you're solo mining on your own. Problem with that is that if you don't have enough power, you're probably never going to get anything. Then again, you never know. It could be the luck of the draw, right?
It can take an awfully long time if you're solo mining and you don't really have enough computational power. I mean, some people do it anyway and consider it like a lottery ticket. And in many cases, if you do it like that, it really is like playing the lottery.
I was thinking of doing that with a Bitcoin miner. I was going to buy one ASIC Bitcoin miner, connected to one solar panel or a couple solar panels, and just let it ride inside the shed. And if it happens, it happens. Like a lottery ticket. I think a lot of people should actually do that. That would really decentralize the network.
Yeah, exactly. But with Bitcoin mining now, it's become an industry.
Yeah.
I mean, I ran one of the first commercial-sized GPU farms in China many, many years ago, back when you could still GPU mine Bitcoin. And it was insane how quickly you had to be adding computational power to keep up your same level of rewards.
I remember mining with my GPU, and I made 0.15 Bitcoins in a few weeks. And man, if I knew what I knew now, man, I would have just kept mining that shit. Fuck.
Yeah,
Litecoin came along after that.
Litecoin came along and made it easier.
Yeah.
I mean, there were also back in the very early Litecoin days, I was CPU mining Litecoin with, I think, one thread on each mining rig, and it was It was an absurd number of Litecoins I got from that.
That's awesome. I was, it was freezing here. It was winter, and I put my whole computer in the window. I was overclocking it, but it was getting too hot, and I couldn't find any other way to cool it, so I put it in the window, and dude, that shit ran beautifully. It was so cold outside. It was fucking snowing. It was great.
Yeah, I was in northern China, and I mean, I'd rented some of these 2-tier apartments, or actually 3-tier apartments, where you'd come in on one level, there'd be a level slightly below the level you'd come, level slightly above the level you'd come in on. And a couple of giant exhaust fans up on the top level, and windows open down on the bottom level. And all through -20 winters, and it was still shorts and t-shirt temperatures in there. Oh man, it was something else back
It's a
then.
lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun, though. I mean, I had a great time doing that. Uh, I don't know if it's just the geek in me, but I think it's
Absolutely. I mean, it's how can I push it? How far can
yeah,
I push it? What do I need
yeah.
to do to keep it all running?
You gotta keep it cold,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah, and you get some really interesting coming out along the way.
Man, I was making like 1, 2 Litecoin a day, man. If I knew, oh man, I would have done great if I just kept going. With actually, the electric bills were pretty high though, if I remember right. So it wasn't offsetting the cost. But man, you guys got to get into mining. It's a lot of fun. Other than the electric bill though, the electric bill is definitely an issue. But you can mine with CPUs. So Raptorium, even the people with GPUs don't have that much an advantage over the CPUs, from what I understand. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It
So
looks like our pipeline breaking stuff is going to keep the playing field fairly level. Yes, a GPU will get more, but buying that GPU is also going to cost you quite a bit more. So dollar for dollar, we're looking at very close to parity level across CPUs and GPUs. There are going to be a few exceptions, like, for example, if you can get dirt cheap, secondhand Xeon CPUs from data centers that are shutting down and similar
yep.
things to that. But otherwise, yeah.
So just to give you guys, so keep you guys, so you know what we're talking about. So in the past, when a coin went from CPU to GPU, the GPUs outperformed the CPUs so much that the CPU people, miners, they kind of left in the dust. That was it for them.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah,
but what?
absolutely. And I mean, a good example, if you want to look at something current, for where it also looks like parity is also actually slightly in favor of CPUs, Random X, which Monero has just talked to. CPUs
Right.
do better at it than GPUs.
Uh,
Some of those new Threadrippers, they smoke the very expensive high-end GPUs on it.
that just happened, right? Like yesterday.
Yeah, just 2 or 3 days back.
I got a few Threadrippers. I'm gonna give it a try tonight. See what we get.
Yeah, that's
I'm sorry.
definitely
I'm gonna have to stop
not a
mining
bad deal
Raptorium.
at all.
I'm gonna have to stop mining Raptorium testnet coins.
Yeah.
Right now, guys, if you
Yeah,
if
but
you want to test out, if you guys want to become I'm sorry, Piggy. Just 1 second. If you guys want to become a miner and you want to try this out, you could do it right now. They're not real coins you're making, but you'll be ready to go when the coin comes live, or when Raptorium comes live, which is very, very soon. So I suggest you get working all the kinks out now. And then when you're ready to go, when they go live, you just push the button and you're good to go. That's the best part about having test networks. A lot of coins you won't see test networks. This one you do, and they're doing the right thing for doing it. Just my opinion. Of course, this is all opinion. Do your
yeah,
own
but
research.
I mean, it makes absolute sense
Mhm.
because if you haven't tweaked your stuff prior to mainnet, you are definitely going to lose out one way or the other. I remember hopping on a brand new coin, or not really a brand new coin, but a coin that was brand new to me, running an algorithm called Lyra 2Z330. And I thought, the more of my CPU I throw at this, the better. the more fantastic it's going to go. So I pointed 16 threads at it, and my CPU just crashed. Because the way they'd structured that algorithm was it would basically choke up your CPU. The more threads you tried to run, the more it would choke them up. So what I actually had to do was to get optimal mining performance from that one algorithm was to go from 16 threads down to 3.
And then it worked better?
I got 4 times the hash.
And that's why you always got to play with the numbers. It's the same thing as overclocking.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You're overclocking, your memory settings, anything and everything you can geek out with.
If you're not playing with the settings, to every possible setting, then you're not really playing with it. You're just using it. But it's a lot of fun, guys. There's a program called Afterburner. You could overclock these days. I mean, you don't even have to worry about the GPU breaking anymore because they're really fucking tough. They make them to be overclocked these days. So it's a lot easier for you guys to do it.
Not like back in the days of early Bitcoin mining. Oh man,
I broke so many cards, man.
Yeah,
I broke so many GPUs. I used to take them apart and replace the grease between all the chipsets all around the one in the middle. I used to put my own heat sinks on it. It was crazy.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun though.
I had these reference model HD 6990s, and I mean, starting them up, they sound like a vacuum cleaner.
Oh, the dual core.
Because yes, the big dual GPU cards,
those are
long ones.
I have a 7990.
They were very badass back then.
They were hot. Did you know how hot they got?
They used insane amount of power.
Yeah, but they were hot. Remember how they used to burn up? Those were the hottest cards I had.
Yeah, they would
those
get
bitches?
absurdly.
Holy
shit. Yeah, but I mean, overclocking and overvolting. I did both to mine.
Yeah.
And it was they didn't really die from it because I got fairly lucky, but I also paid top bloody dollar for my batch, which was at that point in time when I was buying them, it was just about as dumb a mistake as you could possibly make. If you're mining, find out, and you're buying stuff for mining, you really need to find out what you will get for each dollar you put in. It's not about, I need to buy the best, the most powerful, because then I'll automatically be the most efficient. That's a load of shit. You need to buy basically where you get the best bang for your buck. The best cards I ever bought for mining were HD 5770s.
Okay.
Which back then were a very cheap. Those were a very cheap card back then. They were a generation older. They just had one little power connector. But comparatively speaking, I could get 9 of those for the price of a single HD 6990. 9 of those was about twice the hash.
Wow. Yes. These days, I think what are they? The 1060s or the 1050s, right? The 1060s and 1050s, they take very little electricity, but they mine pretty well.
Yeah, that's the 1050s and the 1050 Ti's. They do very efficiently at mining, especially the slightly more core-heavy algorithms. Yeah, they do very well at it.
I love them. The only problem is that it's the RAM on deck, and it needs to be a little higher. So try not to get the 4. Try to get the 6, or if you could get an 8, that'd be great. But it's got to be cost effective, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you want. I bought mine specifically to mine Ethash coins with, and to mine a bit of Raven and other computationally heavy algorithms. And I mean, for that, a horrible year like last year, they ROI'd in 6 months, 7 months, despite how disgusting it was last year.
Yeah, well, hopefully this year is better. I think 2020 is going to be a good year for us.
Absolutely.
2021 even better. It's just I can feel it throughout crypto. People are getting a little more active. People, you see more scams coming out. It's just like a natural thing that occurs before the rise once again. I think people just feel it, and I said it. If you look at one of my shows, I don't remember which one, but before Bitcoin flew back up from 4,000, I was saying the same thing. I was saying I feel it in the economy. Like I feel people getting excited.
Yeah, but I mean, there have been quite a few moves coming on. What's going to be very interesting is to see how much German banks are going to get into this from once we pass the new year.
Well, you also have to consider at one point there's gonna be connector technologies. I call them connector technologies, where there's going to be devices that are going to be homemade, created with 3D printers, helping all coins, depending what network you care to use through that blockchain device. And I see it starting already. So we're gonna do great. We're going to do great. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of law and regulation that's going to stifle innovation, as typically done by government.
But that's only if they can keep pace with innovation.
Well, with 3D printers, man, I don't think. Yeah, then I have a guy that he's creating these routers, these blockchain routers. Oh man, his brother is 3D printing them. He's creating the insides, and that's it. I mean, they created a device people could use. There's another guy I met. He's building his own phones. So I mean, there's some really, good skilled people out there willing to do some crazy shit.
Yeah, and I mean, some of the phones that are coming out on the gray market are really what you want from a security perspective.
Yeah, it's something that doesn't have some type of hold on it, which is all phones from Verizon.
Exactly.
You want to?
Yeah, but I mean, also, if you look at stuff where, for example, a lot of Google's Android operating system processes can just rename themselves, and the only phone manufacturer that actually has a security suite built in that will help deal with it is Samsung. Samsung have this KNOX suite built in on a lot of their newer hardware that will stop that from happening. Because on many of the other manufacturers on their systems, if I upload a virus onto the Play Store, it will just rename itself once it's down on your phone, and then it will look like, oh, Google is asking for permission. do whatever, and then you just click yes because that's just part of everyday running on the phone.
Yep.
But actually, you just allowed your virus access to all your SMSs where your confirmation codes from the bank come.
Oh shit. Yep. And yep. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
It
two-factor
is.
authentication goes out the window at that point.
Yeah, everything goes out the window at that point, which is why it's as big a deal as.
Well, I see you're really big into the security stuff. I really like that about the project. I like to get involved in projects that protect their customers. Unfortunately, going the
Yeah, but
KYC route
that's
isn't the way you protect your customers. For all you coins out there that do that stupid shit.
yeah, and I mean that's been one of the founding principles from the word go on this, because something that's broken.
Yeah, exactly. It came out to fix what's broken. All right, brother.
Not so much to fix what's broken, but to just not be broken.
Right. Well, unfortunately, we didn't see what was broken until too late. But a lot of new technologies coming out that are going to fix a lot of issues. Over here in Crypto Core Media, we love this type of stuff. You can see most of our clients are all involved in some type of privacy or decentralization factor, or else we wouldn't take it on. We love this kind of stuff. And when you do a job that you love, it's never really work.
Exactly, but don't tell my wife that.
Right. You're having too much fun.
Yeah.
Dare you? How dare you get paid enough too much? That's fun.
Yeah. So anyway,
all right, brother. Good job.
Coming
good
back
job.
to mining, Raptorium, your dollar should get you about the same buying CPUs or GPUs for mining it. So in the long run, yeah, you'd be better off with it.
Mm-hmm. And just getting back to that topic. So those of you that have CPUs, when GPUs enter the mix, you're still on a level playing field. It's just like for every GPU they just have another CPU, that you don't have. So you'll need another CPU, but they can't do that much more. Unlike history, where once
Exactly.
the GPUs came out, that's it. You can throw your CPU in the garbage.
I mean, even now, for something like mining Random X, which is in many ways comparable, it's a completely different solution to the same problem. But something like i3s with higher clock speeds, they do very well at it.
Wow, very cool. Yeah, and I could see that because they take things a little slower. I can see how that works. I wonder if that also has something to do with the threads. If you were to use less threads, so if you have 6 CPUs, and only
there
use
are
6
fewer
threads,
threads
one from each.
going fast.
Yep, exactly. So each CPU
I mean,
core
something
utilize
like
a full thread.
The really crazy CPUs, like for example, Knight's Landing, the PHI series of CPUs from Intel, they have so many cores on them that they run, I think the top clocking ones, they only run at 1.6 gigahertz per second. But they will kick out 256 threads from a single CPU.
Wow, it's a lot of threads, but they're all very little. The pipe the bandwidth of each pipe.
Very little.
Yep, that you can't do much on each one.
a decent new CPU, an i3, will do 3.6, 3.8 gigahertz per second.
Right.
So it will run, but it will run a lot faster.
Mm-hmm. Overclock it a little bit, you could probably raise that to 4.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever tried the mineral oil yet? Like putting it in mineral oil? Have you seen those setups?
I have had one rig in an oil bath with a radiator outside. The problem with that was where I was doing it, summer, it just gets so ridiculously hot. And winter, not during summer. During summer, it was painful. I actually had to occasionally hose down the radiator to keep things cool.
Oh, shit. Oh, yeah, that don't
Yeah.
sound good. So you'd have to get some
No,
coolant for the radiator.
you've got to basically keep it. You use the right solution for the spot you're in. I mean, I run some GPU rigs here, but I mean, even now what's it now outside? 32 degrees Celsius here. I think that's around 104 or 105 in Fahrenheit for you guys in the US. That's my standard ambient temperature all year round, and it's hot enough if it doesn't get cooler.
Okay, I've been a lot higher than that.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's your normally people would think, oh, you need water cooling, oh, you need this and that. No, you don't. You just need spacing and a bigger fan to run things. You can't box cards up and expect them to work in this kind of temperature. But if you, for example, take the case off and you've got a large fan hitting each rig, yeah, why not? It works just.
Yep. Wow. So, and also people don't realize that they're made to operate hot. So, being, like 90 degrees isn't that hot. It's hot enough for a chip. A chip is made to run that.
Yeah, I mean, I like to keep things below 70.
Oh, it depends if it's an
Just because
AMD.
that leaves room for error, and it leaves. I do occasionally get like a crazy spell of weather where one side of the building gets really, really hot, and that's where my cooling air gets pulled in. But when that happens, there's got to be room for that.
Right. Yeah. Well,
it doesn't happen very often, but when temperature in the mining room upstairs goes from around, like, I'd say it's probably around 120, 125 Fahrenheit up there now.
Wow.
All the way up to, say, 140, 150. And it's in minutes. It jumps.
Wow. You're going to need some air conditioning.
No air conditioning, just big fans. If you keep enough air moving, and these are big fans. I mean, when you go in up there, it sounds like you've got a couple of. It sounds like you've got a couple of small aircraft in there.
250.
I mean,
250 CFM.
No, these are. I can't remember how much the CFM on them is, but they are what you normally use for cooling down restaurants, outdoor restaurants here. I have two 650-watt fans for pumping air out.
That's a lot of watts.
And they've got, and they've got, what's the blade on them? Meter and a quarter or something like that. Yeah, about 4 foot blade.
Oh shit. Yeah, it's like for kitchens. Those are big fucking exhaust fans for kitchens.
Yeah,
Restaurants.
except these run a lot faster than the ones you're thinking of.
Yeah, those are big motors, man. Those are huge ass fans you're talking about.
Yep. But if it's hot enough, relying on air cooling, it works.
All right. Well, that's so. So you see, guys. So keeping your stuff. I think that's the biggest enemy for all us people who love to do this. It's heat. You got to keep it cold. If you live in New York or New Jersey or any of the states over here, uh, it's probably a great time to open up your windows and stick your mining machine in that room. Uh, and if you need heat in the house, hell, put one in every room and turn off your heat because your house will get nice and warm. It really does a great job. At the same time, at least you're banking on something. So it's a
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know a guy in Norway who uses excess GPUs and his ASICs to grow, to keep a greenhouse running all through the cold season.
That's awesome. I would love to do
Yeah,
that.
but I mean, there is always something you can do with it. If you've got a little bit of land and a little bit of space, you can always make use of that heat. I've sort of half-assedly a couple of times used it to dry batches of hay for the rabbits and hamsters and stuff.
Oh wow, that's cool. That's great, man.
Yeah, but I mean, it's normally way too humid here to dry hay. So everybody else who's feeding rabbits and hamsters and stuff like that around here, they buy bagged up, wrapped hay from shops.
Oh man,
Which is it's just wrong, man.
that don't sound good for the rabbits.
Yeah, it's not good for the rabbits. It's not good for anybody. But I mean, you've got to be creative with it. If you're a little bit creative, you can probably get some really nice stuff out.
So if somebody wanted to mine, can they get to, and they're having some trouble? Where could they go to get some help?
Our Discord is a very good place to start. There are a lot of incredibly experienced people.
Awesome. And everybody in crypto is very nice people. They're not like they're not like the people in the real world. They're extremely nice.
I mean, everybody is usually getting people into crypto because it helps everybody out in the long run. Yeah.
Right. Yes, it does. Exactly. Everyone's on the same page. So get involved. What's the website? Raptorium.com.
Yes, raptoreum.com. Yeah, hop on board, and you're always.
All right, guys. We're going on an hour here, a little longer than I thought, but we had some excellent conversation. I hope you learned something from this. This is an educational experience, and we need to educate everybody. This is the problem. The government is educating people. They recognize that they needed to do this a long time ago, and they did it, right? Their hands are all in that cookie jar. So we got to re-educate. So you need to reach out to your friends, your family. You need to educate them. Even just show them, look how easy it is to mine something. You download this program, fill in this configuration file with this information, and hit the executable, and you're mining. And it's going to your address. And you have something that's making you possibly, who knows, Bitcoin could maybe one day be $1 million each. and you're going to be like, oh man, I had a chance to mine something, and have a stake, and I didn't do it, right? And I'm sure there's plenty of people kicking themselves right now, because that was the feeling with Bitcoin, that was the feeling with Litecoin, that was the feeling with Darkcoin, that was the feeling with Blackcoin. I mean, I could go on and on. How many times I've had that feeling?
Exactly. It's happened quite a few times.
So don't miss out. And then don't cause a FOMO either. But at the same time, you don't want to miss out.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, fellas. All right, Big Piggy, love you, man. Thank you for coming on today. This show should be available at any time. Next week we'll try to talk about something a little more.
This has been Crypto Core Radio. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Tell your friends so they can be among the first to learn about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency advancement in the new digital economy.